Hey guys, this is Sagar Ahuja. Welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Accounting. Today we'll be diving deeper into the accounting landscape that is provided by India and how India is rising in providing the talent base to the CPA firms in the US. And we've got a very special guest with me today, Sripal Jain, who is 40 under 40 by CPA Advisor. He is being felicitated, of course, in Las Vegas, US, and probably one of the only Indians who has gotten this award. He's got a mushrooming and amazing institute which he has founded, that is Simandhar Education. Got about 20,000, 30,000 plus students and placed probably 2,000 plus candidates in variety of CPA firms in India and companies like ourselves, of course. So super thrilled, super excited. Welcome, Sripal.
Sagar, it's an absolute pleasure to be here and talking to you. I know that QX has been known for its culture and values. I'm really excited to be on this podcast and share my thought process. Thank you so much for a very warm and amazing introduction. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Absolute pleasure, Shri. So, Shri, as we will, deep dive more and more into the landscape which India's got to offer. So, my questions will be, of course, around that. And idea will be to capture what India looks like in the next 15, 20 years. Can we support the global profession, especially when it comes to accounting or law? So, starting from the very first question here, I mean, you have a beautiful institute, Simandhar Education, and we talked about the vision that you got a while back. So just take us to the story. What was the reason you founded that and where you're taking this organization forward?
So Sagar, previously I was teaching at Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I was teaching at some private coaching institutes and I was correcting the CA papers as well later at national level. So what I found was out of 100 people we teach at Chartered Accountancy profession, almost 90 people fail. So the pass percentage of CA is 7 to 8% at those days. And I found that there is no alternative route for the chartered accountant students. So what should they do if this is what is happening in the profession? So there has to be some alternative career path. And thereby we started off Simandhar Education. And I knew about CPA thanks to my brother. I would say because I didn't meet my brother 7 to 8 years before I left for the US because I always wanted to meet him and he left for the masters. I said, what should I do to meet him? I thought, okay, there is some course called as CPA and that time the exams used to happen in the US.
And which year is this?
This was in 2011. So exams were not happening in India like we have the CPA exams happening here. So previously it used to happen only in the US, then we opened up in Dubai. So I convinced the embassy, I was working with emphasis and I said I wanted to write my CPA exam. The centers are not in India, so I want to write it in the US. I went to the US, got the 10-year B1 B2 visa. I met my brother there. And so I did my CPA in order to meet my brother. Wow. So that is how it started off. And then when I went there and I saw so many US professionals are pursuing this, and we saw that Deloitte used to do a lot of US based work in India. I felt like almost because you can never have a monopoly anywhere. Correct. So I was like, if Deloitte is doing that, we might see in the coming years a lot of accounting firms also adopt this and bring that work to India as well. And if you see Narayan Kurti started off with 10,000 rupees, he built up the entire processes sitting in India and then going back to the US. So I thought that this course has definitely that particular qualities. And that's where we thought that yes, let's start promoting CPA qualification in India, which was not there. Luckily, I would say COVID came. Unluckily, I would say not for the people, but at least for Simandhar, it made things a lot easier for us. Because people adopted to online and CPA exams came to India. Right. Because of the COVID, people were not able to travel to the US or Dubai. And it came in India and everyone were like, okay, now it's in India. Everyone wanted to do CPA. And many firms came to India as well because India performed exceptionally well during the COVID time. Right. The SLAs were met. There were hardly any escalations. Sitting at work, they were able to deliver. Right. So the outsourcing piece gathered a lot of momentum during that era. And I think our growth went up, what started with one student during our courtship period. So I and Poonam started Simandhar Education. Poonam herself is a chartered accountant. I am a chartered accountant and CPA. And after 1 year, my brother joined in. And with one student, we went to 40,000 students. Wow. In almost like 7 to 8 years.
All of them, they are doing CPA mostly, right?
No, actually, there are a lot of people, like I would say 70% are CPAs. Women are doing US CMAs, enroll agent, diploma IFRS. Now we started off with ACCA, certified internal audit. So we brought up all these courses because we understood that US market is very predominantly having those shortages of talent across all the verticals. So I said, like, if they are facing issues in CPA, they are facing in all the qualifications. Except for CFA, I think Simandhar, I brought all these courses.
Right.
And he had been placing I think we have been consistently placing the students and all. And that's how we gathered the momentum. Accordingly, I think,
It's like amazing story. And in fact, I can relate to it about many pockets. But one thing which you talked about in between, that there's a global shortage of accountants. And I did talk about it somewhere in one of those seminars where I was panelist, that India would potentially become the human capital of the world the way China has been. So on one spectrum, you're looking at massive shortage of accounting professionals, audit professionals in the US. And then you've got India, which is filling that vacuum, right? So talk to us more about why Gen Z in the US, they do not prefer accounting anymore. What's here in India? I mean, you have 40,000 people that you have been training, and 70% is probably CPAs, as you mentioned. But from the overall landscape, why CPA is registering degrowth in terms of the course registration from Gen Z, what's happening in India? I mean, what's the upside there?
I think in India, it is very well poised. We are not seeing that India is trying to replicate the West. And the reasons are quite simple, because everyone don't want to be in the content creation field. What's happening in the US is everyone wants to get into the content creation. They want to do reels on Instagram and all. They don't want to do that laborious work of 18, 19 hours. I think this generation doesn't focus us a lot on the long term. So if I want to ask a person, what is your next 5-year vision? Hardly anyone knows. They want quick money, and they're like, a 17-year-old is comparing with a 16-year-old and telling, oh, he's earning crores and I'm not earning anything. So the peer pressure is coming at that age. At 17 years, I didn't even know what's happening. So I was very much happy with my friends and all. But I think this is where the shift have happened in this Gen Z. They become more kind of, I would say, money-minded, or I would say growth-oriented. And then according to that, they also want a quality work-life balance. So they don't do any work and they get money.
Right.
Which obviously will lead to a problem in the longer run, as we are seeing in the US, because there's a huge shortages happening.
Correct.
And I think the shortage reason is, one is Gen Z is not preferring. Second is we are also seeing that there is an aging population in the US.
Correct.
So the youngsters are not even going to any of the profession, not just accounting. They have shortages in the law, so no one wants to study. Everyone wants to do something in technology, something in liberal arts. Someone is very happy doing meditation. So I think they are not fitting in the society's paradigm. Like society says you need to do, say, X qualification to get something.
Right.
So they are challenging the old process thinking, which is good. They want to really think that, is this life only for professional qualification, which is a very well thought process. Right. But what's happening in that thing is they're getting tremendous pressure to deliver as well, because they need to live also. So I think Gen Z will come to terms that if they want to work hard, if they want to earn money, they need to really work hard. Nothing comes out for free. This generation, I'm not seeing that Lehman Brothers crisis or that kind of recession. I think once it comes, they'll know that stock market is also not easy. It doesn't matter every year 50% returns. People will stop concentrating more on passive, and they'll get more on their active income, which is one they need to focus on their jobs. So I think in India, good thing is that they don't get in passive so easily. A stock market, even if you want to earn money in stock market, you need to have good investment.
Correct.
You invest 1,000 rupees and getting 1,500 rupees doesn't make me happy. And thereby comparing to a job where you get 50 to 60,000 per month. So I think India, there is still that passion for accounting. And one reason is I think our Institute of Chartered Accountants of India have done a phenomenal job in educating the students towards knowing the importance of accounting and all.
Right.
So I think there is an emotion attached to us. We are predominantly very savers, I would say. How can I save my money? So money things comes from our childhood only. So I think that's one of the reasons you not see them getting away from accounting so fast, like in the US. It's happening. But yeah, that is picking up.
I can see that because there's a certain stereotype attached to the accountants in the US or in the UK because there's a bit of cliche that accountants are boring or just the number crutchers and not those guys who can strategically build up an organization. Where we see that in India, and what I think you're trying to say is that we do not have that stereotyped accountants here. And I was talking to one of the clients way back in the US. I think we talked about that how Indian accountants and chartered accountants are placed high in the value chain in comparison to lawyers. Whereas in the US, it's opposite, right? The lawyers, they come on the top and accountants, they come later. So it's a different, mix in the society, the way we see the profession. So I guess in summary, accounting professionals in India, given the fact we've got 1.4 billion people, of course, is on spree. And in the future, we can see that we'll be able to support the global shortage of accountants that we've got in the Western world. Yeah. So it's interesting, good to know. And can you throw some color, in terms of the CPA side of the world, right? You have 70% student there. What kind of growth that you are kind of registering in the last few years? I'm sure you started very small. You talked about it. But what we want to also know is 2 years, 3 years down the line, the registration of CPA or CIMA for that matter, or ACCA, how much you're growing year on year, because that would help the audience to relate to that if these many students are doing what they're doing in the US education piece or UK education piece, it simply means you have a supply side which is super in the future as well.
I think AI will automate most of the jobs in BCom. So anyways, just a graduate degree is not sufficient.
Correct.
So professional qualifications will become the most important parameter of the resume as well. So if they are thinking that they'll just be graduates and they will get a good job, I don't think so that would happen. And I think at QX, I've seen you guys embrace technology like anything.
Massive, yeah.
I've heard that you have invested so much in technology whereby the entry-level jobs gets automated. So you would only ideally need a professional qualified person who can take decisions. So I think now the world belongs to thinkers. One who can think, one who's innovative, one who can ask questions. Not to the person who give good answers, because in ChatGPT what you ask is how good you can ask. That's how the GPT answers. So I thought world is going to that place. And if that is the thing, then I don't think so that just with a graduation it will be sufficient. And that's what we are educating a lot of people. We are telling them that just with a graduation you can't survive in India, and not just in India, any part of the world. Professional qualification, sooner or later, everyone will understand that just with a graduation or with an MBA, it will not lead them anywhere. So I think that's the thought process I have, and that's where I factor on a minimum of 40 to 50% growth in next 2-3 years, because people will continuously register for these professional qualifications, because they will come to terms in the market that just a graduation is not sufficient. And I'm not just talking about the student crowd. I'm also talking about the professionals who are working. Say people who are working in QX, people who are working in Deloitte, EY, PwC. Lot of working professionals. I would say the most unsatisfied people on this planet are working professionals. And they always think the grass is greener on the other side. And that's the problem with them.
Yeah.
We go to that company, they quit there as well. So they are also very unsatisfied. So I think they think, what should we do? So let's do a course. So I think CPA, CMA, EA, all this qualification becomes a predominant part, because if you see that there's a private equity investment in QX and there are a lot of private equity coming up across accounting firms, no one wants to associate with a firm where a lot of unqualified people are.
Correct.
So this push is just not coming from students' perspective or professional perspective. This is also coming from, say, Sagar from QX. It's pushing that we need skilled people. We just can't have unskilled people because the client is demanding that. When I'm going for a PCOV client, I do not want an unqualified person. I want a CPA qualified. Now, is it an offense for a BCom guy? Obviously not. I'm not here to kind of challenge that our graduation system is poor and all. I don't want to get into that debate as well. What I'm trying to tell is this is not just sufficient.
Correct.
This is not something what corporates want. They're making for very high skilled people plus excellent communication skills.
Right.
I think once India comes to that terms, or all the working professionals and the students, and they're already understanding that to get a job, they need that awareness. And the social media customer is becoming very more informative and more intelligent.
Correct. Yeah.
What he was 2 years back, now what he is now, with a lot of reels, content consumption, and today with our podcast, the information what we are sharing, they come to know that this is not sufficient. And that's where I see that there will be huge growth for all the professional qualifications, just not CPA, CMA, CA, CFA, everything they will try to take and try to ensure that we are AI proof.
Absolutely. It's a great, explanation and comprehensive response there, Sripal. Thank you for that. And just picking one of the items in between, and it's a bit of the cultural side between the Western world and India. And I want audience to also understand the bit on the education piece when it comes to India, because if you see the Western world, you do your graduation and then you get into a job and then you do master's or professional course later, which is a given. But graduation holds a lot of weight in theory. In India, on the flip side, what we have seen or I have seen is we have ingrained in our DNA probably that you keep on studying, and you rightly mentioned people, they want to do more than graduation. Let's have professional degree and maybe do PhD later and so on and so forth, which also means that while you compare India with other countries when it comes to PTF services or outsourcing services, as people they know it generally, is that still holds the weight? I mean, are you seeing that passion there with the people that is coming to your institute that they want to do more and more and more, rather than just doing one degree and saying, thank you, I'm done for my life?
And Sagar, this is not what I'm seeing only from the student's perspective. Even in the +1, +2, people don't want to go into colleges. They just want directly internships. They want a practical experience. They have understood that graduation is not something where they are seeing their future. They want to do online graduation. Now we tied up with Jain University for a BCom online program. A lot of the interest people are like, oh wow, I get to an internship, I can do an online program, because that's how I did it, my chartered accountancy. When I was pursuing my CA, I completed my chartered accountancy along with my graduation. I passed CA at the age 21, something or so. So I did it along with my graduation. And I think that is what people want. And I will not be surprised if they don't go to colleges also, or in fact schools also. Because everyone is looking for some experience.
Yeah.
So along with that experience, they also want to do a professional qualification, which is like a part-time kind of stuff. They don't want to get into a full-time because they want to do 2-3 things.
Right.
The generation don't want to do only one thing. They just want to see 2-3 things with some sort of practical exposure and on a professional qualification. And that's how I think these online programs are also getting a big hit. And today we don't do any offline program. We have been Simandhar started off 7 years back. First year, I think we did offline, and then we went into completely online because online is feasible. Weekends they come. They can do there's 2 more things. Why Simandhar is getting popular? Because this generation wants to do something more. They want to kind of prove themselves. Is it because of peer pressure? We do not know. Is it because of that they really want to kind of find the purpose in the life? That this is something which doesn't satisfy them. So this urge, I completely agree with you that they really want to do something extra. I think that's where our qualifications are fitting in that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you come to think of it, the accounting outsourcing industry, I've been there practically from day one, 23, 24 years now. And back in the days, while this industry was nascent, it was new, people were not able to relate to it, how they could potentially build up a career. But when you fast forward that 20 years now, it's just not about the cost arbitrage anymore. It's the talent and intellectual arbitrage also, because India is definitely producing that talent which is needed. And when it comes to scale, I mean, India is obviously providing that. So just stop changing the gears on that note, Shri. We are seeing off late a massive surge in the global capability centers, right? And QX, of course, have been supporting CPU firms and other major enterprise clients of ours to build up the center, provide all the support which is needed from scratch to building the complete unit, including functional support, people support, hiring support. So can you throw some color to that on that, what you are also seeing, because you're also connected to different peers in the accounting community who has got some presence here. So just a bit of light on that would be helpful.
Well, I was awarded by 40 under 40, right? So I was awarded with that. And when I went to the Iconic Thought Symposium, everyone in the US is like, okay, let's do offshoring. And there is a big, I would say, kind of myth that offshoring is they're only coming here to save the cost. No, I think GCCs come here because they see the quality in it. They see that quality in talent. I don't think so. Cost is their sole reason. I mean, you are been in the space, you see that if the quality is bad, they really don't want to get into, even if it's coming at a cheaper cost. But if quality is good, they're ready to pay premium.
Correct.
And I think quality is the driver which kind of drives them to India. And now with Donald Trump coming up, so what we are seeing that China will not get that, I would say that preference, what it was getting before COVID. Since COVID only China plus one policy is working out. Now how good India can capitalize that, it completely depends on how the firms are ready with that. And I think that's where your expertise also in the requiring a lot of the ICI, the Institute of Chartered Accountant initiatives to educate the CA firms about this important piece of outsourcing and bringing the US work to India. The more the US work comes to India, the better it is. It's not about the competition because the work is so much.
Correct.
Everyone can kind of bring that much water, I would say. So the only thing is, are we ready for that? Do we have that skill sets? Do we have that experience? Is what they are trying to test into. And US as a market, what I have noticed is focuses a lot on confidentiality.
Correct.
It focuses a lot on recommendations. They go with references. They will not outsource to anyone whom they don't know. They will definitely try to take out 5 to 6 reference. Do you know him and all? Because they're always very much worried about can we trust them, because the data gets compromised when they kind of share the data across.
Absolutely.
And that's where they were like ChatGPT also, many of them didn't kind of love that. But then Microsoft said, if you are using my Outlook, anyways your data is saved on my Outlook, right? So how is ChatGPT different? I think somewhere that kind of two things, if our companies solve in India, that would be really helpful, because and that's where cyber security is in scope. SOC 1, SOC 1, SOC 2 is in scope. A lot of information technology stuff when people are getting certified. I mean, I didn't start a IT related course till now, but I think that is definitely on my cards in the next 5-year vision, that I think confidentiality plays a big role in the US clients. And if we solve these two things, and that's why you see Modi ji government have launched new rules for data privacy.
Correct, yeah.
And there are heavy penalties if you compromise the data, because global investors are really worried. I mean, there's no data protection laws and all in India. Someone gets compromised and all, so it becomes a big problem. I think that's where everything is interrelated, because even this government understand that this is a huge market which is coming in India. And as per the newspapers which I'm reading it, next 10 to 12 years, it's almost $100 billion market. So I think GCCs are here to stay. It's just that how good we are able to train our staff and get that equipped. I think quality will be tested.
Correct.
And that's where people need to notice. But what I see in the outsourcing space is, oh, let me reduce the cost. With low cost reductions, you'll compromise on the quality because you will get cheaper resources.
Correct.
Which will give cheap quality. You'll end up losing only the clients. So my request to all are actually kind of listening to us, please do not reduce the cost. What you have done in India, do not do that with the US clients. You got their review.
You get what you paid for.
Exactly. So everyone will burn their hands and everyone will be out from the market. So it's not about less costing, because we are seeing that Pakistan doing that. So you see Dubai doing that. For US experience, Sri Lanka does that.
Yeah.
But why in India? I mean, they trust a lot because our talent is really good. We have young crowd.
Right, I agree. And see, end of the day, for any industry to thrive in the future, it's important that the entire ecosystem works in tandem. If you've got talent side working while the security is gone for a toss, that would not help anyone, right? So, just last question, I guess, for this podcast is take us through the audience, especially who are listening from the UK and US, and of course the CPAs and accounting folks there, that the first few things which comes to your mind about the ecosystem of India, right? Because you got people in lot many other countries also, right? The fact outsourcing industry has been there for 20 plus years. It's not no more a nascent industry. We have moved super fast pace. We've got factories of people, at times I say that, with big four and companies like ourselves who are just after big four in terms of providing audit talent, tax talent, accounting talent, and so on and so forth. Yes, it's growing, which is super good. But from the context of India especially, what are those main things in the ecosystem which you are super confident about, right? I mean, just a summary of that, I guess.
I would say when I see India, because I'm an Indian English, so I am. One thing I've seen is we are really very hardworking. It's not the case with the US, and again, no offense to all are watching this, because we can stay late, we can deliver.
Yeah.
So the delivering capability is more when we compare it to other countries. We can, and when I say staying late, it doesn't mean that we are inefficient. It's just that we are able to deliver. So there's a lot of difference. People think that if you're staying late is very inefficient. It's not the case. We're not talking about that. What we are talking about is, do we respect the deadlines? Do we actually listen to the customer, what he wants and when he wants? Because if students are very impatient, customers are also very impatient. Everyone wants everything fast.
Correct. And it's a seasonal work to a...
Why are clients coming to QS? Why are they not going to Big Fours? Because when you get with Big Fours, it takes 2 to 3 days for them to reply. And again, no offense.
Yeah.
But what customers want is, they want instant. They want someone to pick up a call and talk to them.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. So I think that's where it will become more personalized services in the future. The future will not be like, oh, I have done something and it will go by a normal process. No one will follow the processes. Right. People are here to break the rules because they are here to be patient, and they are being in the social media era.
Correct.
There everything is going fast. They expect people to explain consolidation in 10 seconds. Normally it takes 12 to 13 hours to explain one concept. So I think this impatient generation with the impatient customers, I would suggest that India is well poised to handle this sort of audience, because we are normally very hardworking in that area. Second is very good communication skills. I know still a lot of parts of India don't have that, but majority, if you see the metropolitan locations like Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and even tier 2 locations, I have noticed, they're very aspirational. They want to really prove themselves. They're leaving their parents and they're coming here. They are sacrificing a lot of things. So I see a lot of dreams. I see a lot of vision in these people. People think that I should hire from Tier 1, but my strategy has always been to let's hire from Tier 2, Tier 3, because they are more aspirational. Correct. Right? So if you see the quality of the talent what India has, I think with respect to hard work, with respect to communication skills, these are the 2 important skills to watch out for.
Super. And in fact, third word to add probably from my side is the scale.
Yeah.
Because it's not a short-term fix, isn't it? It's not that you got to build up an employee base of 1,000 people and that's it. And of course, it's going to go further because it's a long-term building of an industry, right? When it comes to India for accounting professionals, you see UK and US, and with scale that India can provide, I think that's where it makes the difference, massive difference. Because other countries, when you compare, I got all the respect, of course, for other countries there, but Philippines, for that matter, or other places, the scaling is one factor which is kind of missing. You can have 30-day people, but that's pretty much it, right? After that, it becomes a bit of bottleneck. But having a spread is also important. So it's not that India is the only one place. Philippines, of course, has got a lot to offer. Similarly, when it comes to scaling, then obviously India takes the front seat.
I think we also need to thank ICI for that because the way institute prepares its students, if you see that almost 1 lakh students are there in India. So I'm talking about 100k people are matching. See, from the US is 100k students are already aware about accounting, and we are very, very stringent in the way we teach the Indian accounting standards at all. So they're already very much grown, and then they have an articleship concept also. See. And good thing is institute fails 80% of the people. So these 80% people come to us and they can naturally absorb. So institute is also happy. After people go there in GCC, after people handle the deep kapparis, it's a win-win for all of us.
Yeah, you're right. And global, qualification, be it, say, CPA, CMA, ACCA. I mean, all of them, they're sort of registering the first or second highest growth in Indian market. I was talking to Helen, who is the CEO of ACCA. India is the first or second largest, place for them in terms of the registration and review rates and the way they are growing. So, which is quite a massive number to look at it. And ACCA again is a global body, 250 plus countries. Oh, sorry, it may be lesser. It is as you want to cut this. Anyway, so I was talked to Helen some time back. ACCA is also registering massive growth in India, and it's a global body, hundreds of countries that they operate in. And her view was exactly the same, that that's the place, India is the place where they will continue to focus. Similar thoughts came in from you as well, Shri, around the CPA and of course CMA as a qualification. So all super interesting, and I'm super thankful once again for giving some time here today for this podcast. And with this, guys, we can call it a wrap. Only closing remark from my side is that India is on the rise when it comes to providing the talent for the Western world. And if you are not paying attention to India, you're missing it big time. Few firms may think they are too late in the race, but it's not the fact. The industry is just getting better and better with the talent which companies can provide, of course. So looking forward to catch you up on the next one. Thank you very much for loading in. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Sai.
Thank you, Shri.